I know what I'm about to say might sound completely unrealistic, but it is true. If we would concentrate on the children and the present, the conflict between Israel and Palestine would be resolved now. I'm going to explain myself. Far from me from being a simple-minded individual, very far from me. But we need, once we studied the history of the conflict, once we realized that both Israelis and Palestinians were victims, once we as an individual went through the dark night of the soul, maybe more than one time in some cases, once we realize that even though to return to the past is not to put more fuel on the fire, but it is to understand, okay? So if we go back in the past in order to justify ourselves, in order to put more fuel on the fire, then there's no point going in the past. But if we go in the past in order to understand, to comprehend what happened, then we realize that both Israelis and Palestinians were victims from the get-go, because back then the Israelis they were not able to go anywhere. They were not welcome anywhere. So eventually it creates a problem. We're not enough advanced for starting a community on another planet. So back then they had to find a place to stay. And you see there is a problem with Britain. There is a problem. This was in the distant past, but more recently there is a problem that United States is involved again. But that doesn't mean because you're being victimized, because it's not just the Israelis people on the planet who were victimized. There are other victims. There are other people who were victimized. When you're victimized, it's not a reason to victimize somebody else. Doesn't mean that you have to resort to ways that are not exactly correct. What I'm trying to say is the past, the only place that we can finally have a grip on is the present. We cannot change the past, but we can change the future by acting in the present and focusing on the present. And that's why I encourage both sides of the conflict to concentrate on the present and also on the children, because we know from our collective inconscient that the children are our future. So we need to concentrate on the present and on the children. I sure can add to this, but this is essentially what I want to say for right now, and I thank you for listening.